What's up, good people? Welcome to what is this? Roundtable. We got so many shows going. I forgot Roundtable. We are going to be taking your Discord questions. We've got some bad tweets to cover, and then if you guys have any questions in the chat, feel free to send them along, and we'll get to those too. So, Chargers are 2-0, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, which I feel like we've all talked about is going to be a real test this weekend. And I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about it coming up here. So if you guys don't mind, I'm ready to just jump into this thing. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right. Questions. Our first one here from Discord.
So this one comes from Serbaka. Any early worrying signs from the Roman offense? What do you think there, Jamie?
I have a couple. One is it was more of an issue in week one than it was in week two, but it still showed up in week two a little bit, and that is taking a little bit too long to get the play calls in. It seems like there are times where they're a little rushed. They're not really giving Herbert a chance to get to the line of scrimmage and survey the field and figure out what's going on, maybe check into a different play. They've had a couple of pre-snap penalties because guys are rushing. I remember a couple plays where Quentin Johnston was coming across the formation and he didn't quite get set before they ran a play, and it erased a couple of positive plays. So that would be one, is just the timing of getting plays in and playing with a little bit more tempo, I would say. The other one is I think there are some spacing issues at times with the passing game. What I went back and rewatched game two, and what I saw was Roman does a good job when he wants to go play action and take a shot down the field. He does a good job of spacing the field out and creating opportunities and windows to throw into. When they're just looking to pick up a handful of yards on first or second down and they're not necessarily looking for a chunk play, you're seeing a lot of players in the same area. There's oftentimes 3-4 guys within a couple yards of the hash marks, just kind of bunched up in the middle of the field, a couple guys running crossers, a couple guys running curls. Sometimes you get 3 or 4 guys running curls within 5 yards of each other. And then you've got like a cloud of defenders surrounding them, and Herbert's having to force the ball into really tight windows. I would say those are the two biggest concerns. I know some people are worried about the wide receivers getting open. I don't really think that's an issue so much as I just don't think the ball is getting where it needs to be at times. I don't think Herbert's really fully sharp and comfortable in the offense, and he's just not getting the ball out when he needs to at times.
Yeah, the play calling coming in on time was a big issue in game one. A little bit better in game two, but still a couple hiccups. That's for sure. I guess an early worrying sign, but it just feels like, and spacing. I agree with you. There were some issues, but it just feels like it's pretty early. And I know any early worrying signs was the question, but it's really hard to tell because we have a unique case here with the Chargers, which is a good thing, is that the run game has just been so effective. I mean, Herbert's been able to make some timely throws when they needed it, especially against the Raiders. But, then they ran it in the second half and then didn't really have to do much against the Raiders. And then the Panthers game was pretty much over after the Chargers scored on their first drive. So, this week the Chargers go against the third best rushing defense. They haven't given a rushing touchdown in 2 games. We're going to kind of see how this offense survives. And we were talking about, at least I was a little bit earlier, that, what's going to happen when things break down in the run game. At some point, teams are going to start loading the box. At some point, J.K. Dobbins is going to be able to run for, 150 yards a game. At some point, the wheels are going to kind of come off there in a game, and it's going to be how they're going to react. We still don't know how this passing offense is going to be, if it's going to be enough to compete with this, upper echelon of the AFC offenses. But, if you're looking for early concerns, I mean, if you're just looking at the stat sheet, having a receiver, your top wide receiver, only get 51 yards in the game for Quentin Johnston last week, I guess that could be a concern, but it isn't for me because they haven't had to do it. They haven't had to throw the ball over the yard yet. They haven't had to come back. I mean, the biggest deficit's been a point going into halftime against the Raiders. We haven't really seen an offense in distress and having to come back or having to make a play with Herbert's arm to win a game. So we haven't really seen a lot of it feels like it's a one-dimensional team because they're so good at running the ball, and they've played the Panthers, which just feels like a scrimmage game in game 2. So I don't have a lot of early worrying signs yet. I think the play calling hopefully will get better and smooth out. Hopefully the spacing will get a little better. And I think we also have to take into account Herbert's coming off an injury where, he hasn't played a lot with his receiving core, had to sit out a lot of camp, haven't played in the preseason. So worrying signs, I think, are a little early to tell, but I think, the play calling, I think, is probably the biggest one for me. In terms of the timing, not play calling in general, just the timing of it.
The pace.
Yeah.
You guys pretty much covered it, but as far as a couple of things that stand out to me, it's just on-field communication. You've seen a couple of those instances where Herbert's killed a play or has been asking for motion, which is really important because sometimes those are your key indicators of whether the defense is in man or zone, and guys just haven't moved. One time it was Matlock. I think it may have been QJ another time. And so it's just something that they're working their way into. And I'm sure as the offense continues to evolve, guys will learn and become accustomed to what all this means. But I understand Herbert's frustration. I mean, he's in meetings just like those guys are. So everyone should be catching on. And he has to know where everyone is all the time. So I'm sure the expectation is that if he signals you to motion and he's literally yelling at you to do it and you don't move, I could understand why it'd be a bit frustrating. But other than that, early concerns that haven't really showed up quite yet. It was a little bit in the Raiders game, but I give them a little bit of a pass because it was game 1. This is a team right now that is currently constructed is going to live in third and manageable and third and short. So they have to be highly efficient. Right now, we don't know what the complexes of that passing game is going to be moving forward. Right now, they haven't had to test it out. I'm concerned what that will look like when you have to go to the pass more often than not in those scenarios. I think every time they've been in like 3rd and 4, unless it's been a run, like every single time. I believe I saw that stat somewhere. What if we get in more 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 situations and you're not in plus territory? You don't necessarily want to play the field position game. You want to extend the drive and keep it moving. Then what does that passing game look like at that point? So this week is probably going to be the test of that. So my question will probably be answered. And as far as like my concerns are, I'm sure we'll see a little bit of whether or not they'll be quelled or whether we should pull an alarm and all panic.
All right, Jamie, question number 2.
What are your thoughts on the tight end play so far? Are they meeting, exceeding, or falling short of your expectations? Craig, what do you think?
I like the blocking. That's about it. As far as everything else is concerned, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting a little bit more from Hayden Hurst in the passing game. So was I. He hasn't been overly effective yet. I don't think that they've utilized him or made him a point of emphasis in the offense quite yet. We'll see how that goes. Will Dissly, I made a joke in the Discord, the dude runs like an NPC. So it's just kind of, I don't know what to expect from him as far as a receiver. He can catch the ball. He just doesn't do a whole lot with it afterwards. They do their job in the blocking game, in the run game, should I say. But as far as receivers, there's a lot left to be desired. Stone Smart is basically non-existent. I feel like I haven't seen him on the field almost at all. And he's probably behind, well, not probably, he's going to be the best receiving threat behind Hayden Hurst, if not right there with him. I would like to see him get a little bit more involved in the offense. But because of this emphasis on the run game, Stone is going to be your 4th best blocker right now. So it probably explains why he's not seeing much action. But when it's time to open up the passing game, they're probably going to have to implement him a bit more. But also Hayden's going to need to become more of a threat in the receiving game. And I fully believe for this offense to go as it is, the way Jim Harbaugh wants it, the way it's planned out, they need a premier tight end. So that probably won't work itself out here until going into next season. So we work with what we have unless they make a trade. But, who knows? Everything's up in the air at this point.
Garrett?
Yeah, I am so I will say the fact that Will Dissly's got this much run in the passing game is a big surprise to me through 2 games. He's the leading receiver among this tight end group. He's got 42 yards. I think he's got 4 catches now on the season. I mean, obviously that's nothing to write home about, but outside of that one big chunk play in the first game against the Raiders for Hayden Hurst, that kind of helped propel the offense in that game, in game 1. the tight end group has been pretty pedestrian, but they've been asked to block a lot. And, we're all, doing the like jumping into assumptions for the season in 2 games where, again, this is a really unique case for the Chargers offense because they've been so effective in the run game. But it feels like the jury's out on everybody for basically every player not named J.K. Dobbins because they just haven't looked very good on paper. The issue with assessing this offense and these position groups is that the whole first half of that Raider game, they were bogged down by penalties. So they were getting second and third and long, and they couldn't get their offense going. And then they ran it down the Raiders' throat in the third quarter and beyond. And then the Panthers never posed a threat. And you saw Roman kind of scale back his offense a lot as that game got deeper in Carolina because he knew he didn't really need to show that much going forward. So, the jury is out on everybody but J.K. Dobbins in my mind. And even, I would say, the offensive line, even though they had some up and downs in the first game, I thought they not only out offensive line, but also J.K. Dobbins have been exceptional. Everybody else outside of that, the wide receiver group, everybody not named J.K. Dobbins, even Justin Herbert. It's just the jury's still out on the bunch. And I think, it's easy to say that they've played or fell short of expectations, going back to the question. But again, a unique case. This is a different offense. It'll be different going forward.
Yeah, I guess the better question is, what expectations did you have for this tight end? Because if you went in with really big expectations for them, then you're probably feeling pretty let down. But
yeah,
I think, Garrett, you made a good point, is they haven't really had to get too creative with the tight ends. They had the one splash play for Hayden Hurst in the first game. They did set up a play action deep post to Hurst against Carolina in the first half. That was actually there, but Herbert held the ball a little bit too long. Didn't quite get it out. Somebody was nipping at his heels, and he bounced the ball in front of the safety, kind of underthrew it just to get rid of it. But I do think some deep shots with Hurst are probably coming. You might see them in the Pittsburgh game, depending on matchups. It seems like they're trying to set that up a little bit. Disley is, he's an underneath guy. He's there to block. That's all he's really there for. I think both Hurst and Disley have blocked exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. Haven't really seen Smart, so can't really give him a grade. Eric Tomlinson is garbage. I'm not really sure why he's out there. He's not much of a blocker, and he's not going to be much of a receiving threat. So I am not a fan at all. Hopefully he gets better or they find a better option. But right now he's just not doing much of anything for the offense or for me for that matter. So I would say right now, if you're grading them, it's really an incomplete. They're blocking well. We don't know what to expect from most of these guys as receiving threats at this point. But I do think you might see a deep shot or two in plus territory to Hurst if the running game gets going.
I think Tomlinson's got to be related to somebody on staff because that's about all I can come up with this at this point. I have no idea. Well, interesting. You know what? I can't say that. I'm gonna get canceled. So okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah,
it's Friday.
But Tomlinson just kind of seems like a waste of space. Bigger body guy, so I understand the thought process behind it. You assume that he's going to be better in the running game as a blocker, but he really hasn't shown a ton. So we'll see if they make any adjustments moving forward. But it's really nice to not have to show your hand through the first couple of games. Your running game has been so effective that I'm sure there is much more they have tucked away, and we'll see it as the season goes on.
Yeah, I still can't not hold that fumble, not fumble against him because it just sticks in my mind still. I know
we're not stopping you, man.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying,
cook up.
Obviously, I'm just saying that we shouldn't judge him on a play that didn't count, but he did catch it, and I guess he didn't complete the process according to the refs. But I mean, seemed like a step or two to me, and he put the ball on the ground on the one reception he had.
He was starting to turn upfield with it, so
look like a football move to me.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so in my mind, that was a football move and that was a fumble, but it wasn't in the stat sheet. And I guess I'm just gonna still hold it against him. But the penalty in game one, he doesn't get a pass for that, obviously, because that counted. All right. Question number 3 from Discord. This one's from Drew01051. Too many numbers. Is predictability in personnel/formations part of the reason Gus Edwards is not having the same success on the ground as J.K. Dobbins? Haven't seen him involved much at all in the passing game. Wondering if he has even been in on those downs. If not, seems like it'd be a huge tell for opposing teams. Jamie?
I went back and watched the game today, and he's on the field in passing situations at times, not all the time, but at times. I don't think it's so much a personnel formations issue. I just think it's a running style issue. With JK, he's a little bit quick, not a little bit, he's a lot quicker. He's got a really nice jump cut. He can change directions on a dime. And he's just got a little bit more wiggle so he can make guys miss in the hole. With Gus, he's got to be coming downhill full steam ahead to be effective. And he's just getting a lot of guys in the backfield, making him stop his feet and change directions before he can really get started. When he does get downhill, he's pretty effective, and he's got just enough wiggle to make guys miss in the hole. But he's not a guy who's going to hit a nifty jump cut or make people miss. So if there are people coming at him in the backfield and he's got to stop his feet and change directions, he's pretty much done for that rep. And I just think you're seeing better vision, better movement skills, better lateral quickness, more explosiveness out of JK, and he's able to create and find holes that maybe aren't expected to be there. Whereas Gus is going to be a between the tackles guy, straight downhill, and if the hole isn't there or there's somebody waiting for him in the hole, he's pretty much done.
Yeah, Gus is your classic gap power running back. You're not going to expect a whole lot of wiggle in the backfield, so if something gets blown up, he's pretty much done for, because the bigger backs, because they're the guys that need to get downhill. Once you get them moving laterally, you pretty much zap all their superpowers, whereas JK has a whole lot more wiggle. He's much more explosive, and he's a little bit better feel in the run game than Gus does. I've also touched on this a little bit. I think Gus is starting to work his way into the season, being that he didn't participate much in the offseason during camp. So the first 2 games were kind of like warm-ups for him. I actually think he'll have a better game this week. Kind of need him to, just because of how formidable that Steelers defense is. So the 1-2 punch definitely needs to get going. But overall, I think Gus is just kind of working himself into form. But don't ever expect him to break off the same type of runs as JK does. They're just very different backs. As far as him being on the field in passing situations, I mean, Jamie already mentioned it. He has been, but JK is actually the better in pass protection. He's better at blitz pickup than Gus has been, actually. It's not just a this year thing. So JK just has an edge on him as far as athleticism and field comes as a running back, also better as a receiver out of the backfield, and he's a better pass blocker. So right now, I know it's supposed to be 1A, 1B, but JK's definitely 1A, and Gus will get better as the year goes on. And I think he'll start to pay dividends as you get into the middle portion to the later part of the season, where those bigger backs start to really, really wear on teams. And again, later in the game, he gets better the more he gets to warm up. So the more carries he gets, the more he wears on the defense. Between he and JK, he's probably going to be the hammer come the end of the game. So for the time being, it's a little bit of a pain point for most fans. I know we were expecting a bit more, but keep in mind he got a little bit more of a late start than JK, who was practically available throughout camp. Gus is just kind of getting it warmed up.
And they had a couple of formations during Sunday's game where they had Gus, JK, and Matlock on the field together, with Gus acting as a fullback. That was a look I kind of liked. That they ran out of that look for Dobbins' long touchdown run in the first half.
Yeah, and something they can kind of play off of too, having 2 running backs in the backfield with your.
Was that on that long Dobbins touchdown? I feel like Gus got in the way of the corner, and then he got olayed a little bit. I feel like he got either tossed, almost looked like the corner tossed him by his hair. It's really weird.
He didn't really block him. He kind of screened him and turned him outside, and then it was Horn just kind of grabbed him by his jersey and like sidestepped him and threw him down to the ground.
Yeah, on the back end, it looked weird. Yeah, it looked really good. But when you kind of saw it from the opposite end zone angle, yeah, the back end of that play looked kind of bad. But it started off well. At least he got in the way. He did his job. So I guess that's all that matters. He's not an actual fullback.
Yeah. And we did see Gus catch a pass against the Raiders. So he has been involved in the passing game. And in game 1, they set up a play action with Gus. So he's been involved. So And also, like Craig was talking about, J.K. Dobbins has been excellent in pass protection. Gus has been pretty good too. But I don't know that it's a tell, when he's saying, is it predictable to have Gus on the field? I don't feel like it's predictable right now. Gus can catch the ball. He's done it before. I mean, I think he had like 13 catches last season. It's not going to, blow the door off the hinges. He's not going to catch 100 passes. He's not going to be like Prime Eckler, but he's still a threat to catch. It's not really, his forte, but still, it's not like he has stones for hands. So he can still catch the ball. And I don't feel like it's as one-dimensional as some might feel. It's not like a see Gus, run Gus. It's like, sometimes there'll be a play action. Sometimes, we'll see him go out for a pass, or it's, something else. It's not just every time Gus is in, they're going to run the ball. But I agree. I feel like he's one of those guys. It feels like Herbert's one of those guys. And there's a couple other guys. It just feels like the lack of work in the offseason and in preseason is kind of getting them slow going, and they haven't quite hit their stride like Dobbins has, who's had a full camp and been able to come out of the gate running. Do you guys think, from Slow Low Man, speaking of Gus, do you think once Gus is fully back healthy from his injury, he's going to start making a little bit more cuts? Is he going to be a little bit more effective, do you feel, as the year goes on?
I think he'll be effective, but I don't think you're going to see him making a ton of cuts. Like, that's not how he's effective. He's going to be effective coming downhill, running over people, wearing defenses down to set up the second half bigger play runs for Dobbins. That's what he's there for. He's the hammer. I hate that phrase, but that's what he is. We'll call him the thunder, and we'll call Dobbins the lightning.
Lightning, yep.
But he's there to pound on defenses, to wear defenses down, give them, those body blows, if you like the boxing analogy, so that you can give the ball to Dobbins and he can land the haymaker. That's what he's there for.
As far as the cuts are concerned, no, that'll never be Gus's game. But I think what you will see is, as the season wears on and teams become more accustomed to him just being more that downhill runner with a full head of steam, he's going to set up guys and make a couple cuts where guys are bracing themselves to take on that contact, and he may be able to just make a quick step to left or right, and he'll avoid contact that way and break off a little some of those longer runs. Those are going to be few and further in between when we're talking about the difference between both he and Dobbins. But yeah, Gus just isn't that type of back.
All right. Next question, Craig.
Yeah. So this is from Aval. I guess that stuck till 8 in the morning. I don't know. Whatever. So Aval, are there any players you could see getting a midseason contract extension? And a follow-up to that, how crazy would that feel after the decade of Telesco? What do you think there, Garrett?
It feels like, not just for the Chargers, but just among the NFL, the midseason extensions are pretty rare. Unless there's been some kind of infighting in the offseason where you're star quarterback or receiver, or even your shutdown corner, wanted a contract really bad, said he wouldn't play. He ends up playing, and then they meet in the middle somewhere during midseason. But if we have to pick somebody, I feel like Rashawn Slater is the best available answer here, especially if you want to get ahead of the curve, because he's already been impressive through 2 games. And the sooner you sign him, the better it is for you, because if you're waiting till 2026 and you're not using the 5th-year option, if you're waiting 2 more seasons, that number is going to skyrocket the more tackles get signed, and you cannot go your season without a starting left tackle. Everybody wants one, and so that price is just going to go higher and higher. So I would say, in terms of a midseason signing, Slater probably fits the bill the most. I don't feel like there's a lot of free agents going into this season, because they signed a bunch of veterans to a bunch of short contracts, like Dobbins, who would come to mind, but you don't think he would be worthy of signing midseason. They just work in the offseason. Christian Fulton's been pretty impressive. I know Khalil Mack might be on that list with Perryman or Ford or something. But in terms of a re-sign, got to have him, want him long-term, I feel like Slater is the prime candidate here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Slater's the prime candidate. The only other one that I would think might be an option is Asante Samuel Jr. Just because of the condition their cornerback room is going to be in going to next year. If he plays really, really well and they feel like they've got something there in the system, maybe they throw some money at him. But my bet would be, if any, it's more than likely going to be Slater.
Yeah, it's pretty unanimous here. It's definitely going to be Slater. Premium position, and you want to try to get ahead of the curve. And Jamie, I hate you for being in my head on that one. I was going to say Zion as well, just because, especially if he has a fantastic next few games. Other than that, I would say would have to take almost all-pro performance from somewhere else to have that type of conversation. When you're looking at some of these one-year guys, no, we mentioned J.K. Dobbins. That would be an amazing story. It's a feel-good story. The likelihood of it, yeah. But if we're talking about another 3 or 4 games here, and he's reeling off 115 yards plus on the ground, not even combination of all-purpose yards. You think about what he would command in the offseason if he's able to stay healthy all year long, and I don't think he'll be given any discounts, even though the Chargers took a chance on him. There weren't a ton of teams, I think, that were out there on him this offseason, just a few. That would be awesome to see. But honestly, it's probably going to be Slater, then maybe Zion. But you got to go Slater first. You got to knock that out, get it out of the way.
Yeah, Zont hasn't been like so impressive through 2 games. He's trending in that direction. But if he, reels off a bunch of great games, definitely. And then I think the other name in that same draft class, Joshua Palmer. If he reels off a bunch of really good games, this wide receiver group is pretty thin as it is. If they need to re-sign him, he might be one of those guys. But again, it feels like those guys and Zont and Palmer have to be like, putting up Pro Bowl numbers, top 5 type guys to sign midseason. But if not, they're going to be, working to get them, midseason.
Yeah. I think Zont's probably a long shot. Palmer's probably an even longer long shot, just based on history and necessity. But I mean, to his credit, Zont hasn't really given up much of anything the first 2 weeks.
He missed that tackle on the touchdown. There's that one.
Was that Zont?
Yep.
Yeah, week 1, yeah, against the Raiders, yeah, it was mostly Zont's fault. He was kind of ankle biting a little bit there, and it threw everything off. If he made more of a form tackle or went for a form tackle and didn't make the tackle, then Henley would have been there to clean it up. But I'm gonna have to throw that one on Zont.
Yeah, and Henley took a really bad angle. He should not have run over the top of Zont. He should have ran behind him and got him just in case Samuel didn't get him. But regardless, it was Samuel on the initial tackle.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of like, we haven't really seen him get tested in coverage a lot.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really given up. Neither one of the corners really has given up much of anything through 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in terms of Telesco, I mean, I don't know if you guys get the same feeling, but do you guys just get like more mad and more mad as the season goes on? Because I can't stand that dude. I mean, it's like he lucked into a couple first round guys that panned out, and the Spanos kept him way longer than anybody wanted him. And then, now there's a competent staff in front office, and things have turned around. We definitely deserve this. We deserve it. But I mean, it's just like he wasted Rivers and Herbert's rookie contract, the end of Rivers' quarterback years, and then wasted Herbert's rookie window. It just, I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever forgive him.
Well, just like Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins are 1A, 1B, he's 1A and Staley's 1B for me. Staley's starting to creep up there. Every week, these guys perform that didn't play last year. I get a little bit more frustrated and want to egg his house. I shouldn't say that out loud because if it happens, then I'm culpable. So never mind. Erase.
Yeah, but that's not a crime. I mean, you're not.
No, it's just really annoying. It's not really annoying. It's nothing I go to jail for. I don't think.
Right.
Still.
Right. No, I mean, I
wouldn't advise it as an adult.
Yeah.
So I heard Garrett trying to figure out how to describe Staley on Score More this week, and he was like, "Should I call him a war criminal? How should I?" And it's like couldn't come up with a way to term him. And by the way, if you guys haven't seen it, make sure you go watch Score More. It was really good this week. The Diane Henley appreciation was awesome. But is Staley creeping into terrorist territory?
I knew that was coming.
Is that dude a terrorist?
Dude, you know that 49ers fans have picked that up. They're calling Staley a terrorist right now.
Are they really?
Yep, they are. With just like some of the defense alignment, like we saw, who was it? Somebody sent it to me. A 49er fan sent it to me because I guess they caught on to like a bad tweet. Not a bad tweet, but an anti-Staley tweet. And I think it was Nick Bosa or somebody dropped back in coverage to cover a slot receiver during one play. And of course, he got burnt and it was a touchdown. It was awful, but yeah. They called him a terrorist. It was hashtag terrorist.
That man owes Aaron Donald a percentage of every contract he has moving forward. That is the sole reason why he has a job in the NFL.
Maybe
right
all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe all of the proceeds of all of his contracts should just go straight to Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
at least some sort of college fund or something for his kids. Like, I don't know, something you owe him for sure though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Having a 1 of 1 on your defense helped you get a job. Parlay that into a head coaching job. Into now another defensive job. I mean,
and don't forget about having Ramsey out there too.
Yep. Yeah. That was a pretty talented defense. All right. I think this is the last one here from Discord. Jamie?
If the Chargers allowed you to work for them, what position would you choose? Be it media, reporting, position coach, etc. Garrett?
It's Friday. I mean, the media is for the birds. I mean, the politics and the limited access for me. I mean, that's a no. You know, like it's nice to be able to watch the games and be able to say whatever you want at any point and not have to, answer to anybody. So media is out for me. But what I would do honestly is I would love to be just like an offensive assistant. Like it's low risk. I'm probably not getting fired, if the staff stays together. They're keeping me around for fun. And I get to do the cool stuff like hit Herbert with a pool noodle or like catch passes and hand it back to Herbert so he can throw during warmups. Like low risk. I get to have fun, do some football stuff. I can probably even wear gloves. And then I can just, go ham on the sideline during games and stuff. That feels like the perfect position. I'm probably getting paid a butt ton of money to be a part of the organization and to do limited type, high risk. I'm going to get fired. Like fans will say they want to egg my house on a podcast. Like they're not going to say that to the assistant. They're going to say that to somebody like a Tom Telesco. So coordinators have too much at stake. I just want a cush assistant job. Give that tag and I'll celebrate on the sidelines like crazy.
Craig?
I totally understand that. Kind of keeps you out of the line of fire a little bit. But when we're talking about regime changes, that's always still a little bit scary. I would definitely be a coach, wide receivers coach without fail, just because of my history. And also, guys, when you see me on this show, I have my, I guess, content personality. But me as a coach and a personal trainer, I am a complete psycho. Totally different person in those settings. I would love to be out on the field with the professionals, having some of these conversations and talks back and forth about not just technique stuff, but just sharing stories and having our understanding about the position, how it's supposed to be played. And just also, I'm a little bit of a jerk. I think it would work well for this particular wide receiver core, guys that have to be good blockers. And, if you want to participate in a Jim Harbaugh type offense, there's a certain brand of football that you have to love. And man, nothing would make me happier than sit down and go over film with these guys every day and catch somebody loafing. They would hate me, but I feel like I would be great for the job. So this is my pitch moving forward. Jim, if you need anybody, I'll come in and, if you want to just have like a little mentorship program or something where I can come in and see how things get down, I'm your guy. I'll sit back in the back, be quiet unless called upon, and then you might get anything. You may kick me out of the room, but it'll be fun. It'll be entertaining nonetheless. So again, that's my pitch. If it works out, great. If not, I tried.
So what is the coach? What are you doing? Are you a coordinator?
No, wide receivers coach.
Oh, wide receiver coach. Oh,
yeah, I'd be a wide receiver coach.
Did I miss that? Okay.
Yeah. So Sanjay, look, I'm not trying to come for your job, dude. You're doing an excellent job. I'm just saying,
you can't do it
all.
It
could hurt. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
again, couldn't use a wide receiving coaching assistant. Create a position. I don't care. Pay me scraps. It doesn't matter. I'm taking it on because I mean I love it just that much. So yeah, that's it.
Here you guys
Jamie?
are going for the assistant roles.
Yeah.
I want to
What
be
do
the
you
head
do?
of college scouting.
Oh, what about all the travel and stuff? I mean, that's pretty good.
I'd make it work.
Yeah,
Be
and
head
you
of
do.
college scouting.
Yeah.
To
Oh, they
spend your
pay you.
days
They pay you enough, Jamie.
looking for Harbaugh guys
Uh-huh.
that Harbaugh's going to flip out over, watching tape, traveling all over the country, going to games for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for me.
Jamie, that is a great call. That is such a good call because also it's the perfect timing because you got to find Harbaugh guys like you said. So you get to like interview them and then like feed them like stupid questions or like things to see if they'll break. Like you could have a lot of fun with it.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you guys remember when I first came on like a while back. That was kind of what I was looking into getting into before I went into where I am now, just because I think I may have shared this story before. So Deuce Vaughn, running back for the Cowboys. Deuce Vaughn played high school football with my son. They're really good friends. I actually talked to his dad who works in the scouting department for the Cowboys about getting into scouting. And then when he gave me like the lowdown on it, I just like looked at my wife, like, hey, so what are you? And she's like, nah. So yeah, with 3 kids, that really wasn't a possibility, but yeah, that'd been fun.
But this is hypothetical, and I think Jamie won though. I am.
Yes, I agree.
I'm with Jamie. That was the best answer.
And the nice part about the college scouting gig is it's like September to March, and then you've got the spring and the whole summer off. You don't have to worry about anything until September.
Right. And it's pretty cush because honestly, like you're giving your notes and stuff. Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna pound the table for a couple guys, but like that job lasts you a while. You know, there's not a lot of pressure on you because you're given the notes and then the coaches decide who they're gonna pick and what to believe, and that's who ends up getting the shaft and getting fired and getting all the blame. You're just there to give your notes.
I mean, shit, JoJo Wooden was in that job for years, and look at the shape he left the team in. So if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah, that's the job for me for sure. I think it'd just be fun traveling around, checking out games.
That per diem is trash, though.
Travel with the kids. You know, you're talking about having 6 months off, 5-6 months off during the summer and the spring to travel with the family. Like,
you're gonna be eating Jack in the Box every day, though. So say goodbye to your intestines and whatnot.
No, with the Chargers company card, are you kidding me? I'm not eating Jack in the Box.
Okay, you're talking about this iteration because we're talking about previous staff and leadership. Then yeah, you'd probably been penny pinching. Who knows? You may have had to foot some of that on your own.
Yeah, Jamie, you got Cardiff crack a lot this month. That's a lot.
Damn straight.
Oh man, I know where you're going. All right, so now the fun part. We're laughing now. Let's segue it into our bad tweets. And here is our first one, which is, man, a doozy, because I personally, and I know you guys do too, but these like subjective rankings are absolute garbage. I never really care about them. I never put any stock into them. But when you look at, and this is this year's week 3. So we're talking about games have already been played after Monday, and they've got the Chargers at the 24th best team in the NFL. And I think if you're being real with yourself, the top 6, I think there is like some kind of argument. You might go back and forth on a couple of them. I'm good with that. But when you look at the Eagles that just had a meltdown against the Falcons, the Ravens and Bengals at 8 and 10 are 0 and 2. The Packers lost Jordan Love at 11. Deshaun Watson and the Browns are a mess. They were terrible week 1, a little bit better in week 2. You got the Vikings as Sam Darnold as your quarterback. The Falcons won only because of cosmic blow up from Philly. Caleb Williams, an absolute turnover machine. The Rams are 0 and 2. That they're 21. They have no Puka Nacua.
They don't have a team right now.
There's nobody to field right
it's
now.
The replacements.
Dolphins don't have Tua, and the Jags are winless, and they're all ahead of the Chargers, who are undefeated and playing some smash mouth football. This is ridiculous. And I didn't take out the name. Normally we take out the name and stuff, but This is NFL on Fox. This is wild. I can't even make any sense of this.
I'm okay with it. Keep them down at the bottom. Put them at 32 for all I care. I don't give a shit about these rankings.
No. I don't either. Okay, I don't either. But if we're really looking at it with if we're really being truthful here, this is ridiculous. Again, I don't give a shit about these. I don't care about any of this subjective rankings and stuff. But this is crazy.
It's an engagement troll, man. Like, think about it. First of all, it's a Harbaugh-led team. So there's already the cachet that goes along with that. You know, Harbaugh wins wherever he goes, and they're 2-0. The fact that the Ravens are 8th and the Raiders are 25th, who they just lost to, like, the fact that the gap between the two isn't closer is strange enough. I don't have to get into detail about everything that's going on here. Anyone who pays attention to actual football knows that this is a joke. It just feels like engagement farming. That's where I am with it.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys just got run out of their building last week. Mm-hmm. The Steelers at 16 is pretty ridiculous. The Jets are 1-1. It's pretty bad. But for me, like,
Jets are 2-1 now after yesterday. But of this ranking is 1-1. Yeah,
but for me, like, put them at 32, bury them, talk shit about them, give Harbaugh fuel, give the players fuel. I want the Chargers under the radar for once. So I'm good with them being at 24. I wish they were lower, to be honest with you.
That under the radar stuff goes out the window after next week. If they end up 4-0, we can forget about that.
Oh, you mean if they
win this week and next week, you can forget about being under the radar.
Oh my God. Beating Kansas City? Whew.
But I mean, to have a Tua-less Dolphins team ahead of the Chargers, to have the Chargers and the Steelers outside the top 15 is pretty absurd.
Asinine,
outside of the top 10.
You've got 2 winless teams in the top 10. And the only thing that I think this list is trying to do or was doing is they had basically their like off-season ranking, and then they've kind of like stuck to it and like slowly moved teams up and down. Because I know the Chargers were pretty low on everybody's offseason ranking just because of the team on paper. So it just feels like maybe they were moving some guys around, and they had the Bengals and Ravens really high. So they've kept them really high and only moved them down a little bit. I don't know, but this is crazy. This is definitely the definition of a bad tweet. Next up, if I can get to my thing here. All right, so the first tweet is from Dove. Interesting. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is the only quarterback in the NFL making $50 million plus this season that is 2-0. The other 8 quarterbacks making that money have combined a record of 5-11. Then the response to it, and I blanked out this person's name, is his stats are completely average. If it wasn't for the run game and defense finally showing up, Herbert would be 0-2. Laughing face emoji.
So I saw this in the Discord, and my reaction was basically, you're totally right. If not for the team around him doing the things that it takes to win, he'd be 0-2. You fucking moron. Like, how dumb are you?
Mouth breather is what I think you called him.
I did. I called him a mouth breather. How fucking dumb are you? Like, and actually, like, Herbert's stats are, I would say, pretty below average. But it doesn't matter because they're winning. Who cares how many yards he throws for? As long as they're winning and he's not turning over the football and the team is having success, who gives a fuck? But to sit here and say his stats are average, if it wasn't for the team playing well around him, he'd be 0-2. Yeah, that's kind of fucking how football works, dumbass. I mean, come on.
I know. It's just the title is "Man Discovers Football as a Team Sport." Like he just like, and I can assure you, I'm pretty sure a Dolphins fan. I'm almost positive.
Naturally,
if I go back in the Discord, because there's a lot of Herbert hate on these bad tweets. By the way, just a little teaser.
Of course,
he can't win one way or the other. There's always going to be some criticism. I will just say that the person who wrote this or the commenter is probably a product of inbreeding, and I'll stop there.
Okay. Marriage, is that what's going on here?
Oh man,
it's crazy talk.
All right, number 3. Winning is nice, but Jim Harbaugh has made Justin Herbert boring, and that needs to change.
And this came from somebody who covers football for a
Right.
living.
Yes. I
What
almost
the
put his
fuck?
name.
Have you not watched Jim Harbaugh football before? Listen, man, it's not about the quarterback. It's not going to be. But again, why do we care about this if the team's winning? There's always going to be something that you can critique. If they were getting a crap kicked out of them, I would understand the criticism. The problem is that there's nothing you can do with Justin Herbert that will make people accept the fact that, either he plays out of his mind and is Superman and they still lose because he's playing with the all-time crap defense like he had for the last few years, or you see what's happening now where it's not all on his shoulders. He's just asked to make key throws here and there, and the rest of the team is able to assist him. Now, there will be some games where he has to play a little bit more, toss the ball around the yard a bit, but that's just not how a Jim Harbaugh offense works. It's never been the case. So again, these people do this professionally for a living. You typed that out and thought that it was a good idea to send it, and you were going to get, I guess, likes and you get the type of engagement you were looking for, or it could be a troll. I don't believe anything that gets posted anywhere on the internet now. I feel like everybody just does it to get a reaction. Some of it is, I don't know, just overall, don't take it too seriously. But if in fact you were serious about this and this is genuinely how you feel, then just don't watch Chargers football, dog. You're going to be bored all year long. We're just going to keep stacking up wins, and I guess you'll just hate Jim Harbaugh for it for some odd reason.
Yeah. And I know he was trying to be cute here, and this is like a national pundit. So this, I probably should have kept his name in there. But regardless, winning isn't just nice. It's the top priority. I mean, where were you? That's why they play football, to win games. Jesus.
Sports in general.
And to add on to that, Justin Herbert broke records throwing the football. And where did that get him? Fuck all. They got a top 5 pick. He is otherworldly as a quarterback, and he can't get any wins. He's been in the playoffs, lost. He's now winning games, but it's still not good enough. It got the Chargers nowhere. It got him nowhere. There isn't a quarterback on earth that would not trade wins for QB stats. They want wins. They do not care about fantasy football or how many yards they passed, as long as they're winning football games. That's all these guys ever care about. So this whole it's nice to win, that's the point. That's why they play football, to win. And they're finally doing it.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? So I was coming back from the grocery store the other day, and there was a guy walking his dog, and he had on a Marcus Mariota Oregon Ducks jersey. So I just asked him, like, hey, you an Oregon fan? He's like, no, not really. I just kind of like the color of the jersey or whatever. And he's like, why you? I'm like, nah, I'm just a Chargers fan. And, Justin Herbert's a QB, so I just assume maybe, Oregon fan. He says, oh, man, I hate Herbert. I'm like, why? He says, I think he's overrated. Okay, what are you basing that off of? Well, he just doesn't have enough wins. I'm like, what else do you know about him in general, as far as his tenure as a Chargers quarterback? He's like, well, I just feel like he throws for a bunch of yards, and that's all that comes from it. No other context whatsoever. So I say, like, hey, do you know who the current coaching staff is? Well, I think Jim Harbaugh is the coach, right? Yeah. Who was it before him? He's like, wasn't it Harbaugh? This conversation's over. You guys have a nice day. And this is what I run into regularly. Just people who are completely uninformed or just choose to hate Herbert because they hear it and they think it's the popular thing to do.
Because they're watching fucking Emmanuel Acho.
Yeah, and you, by the way, if you hear this, Emmanuel, stay the hell away from this team. You are not allowed to cheer for the Chargers. We want no parts of you.
Hold on, Craig. Blazing Bolt's got a question for you. Thoughts on Krusty the Clown, Emmanuel Acho trying to bandwagon the Chargers? Shake my head.
Keep Captain Jericho the hell away from my team. Cheeseburger Eddie, bounce. We don't want you, bro. Keep the same energy from last year and years prior. We're the same team. Justin Herbert's the same quarterback. Remember, this dude got an actual Justin Herbert customized jersey, and on the back was it social media QB? Was that what he put on the back? Remember that. Keep him, because people don't forget. I got it screenshotted. I keep the receipts. So every time you post a positive thing about the Chargers on Twitter and I see it, receipt time coming for your head top, as long as you know.
And the only reason he's bandwagoning them is because, well, Harbaugh's smart enough not to put the ball in Herbert's hands.
Herbert's hands, yeah.
He's going to turn into something negative about Herbert. So fuck that guy. We don't want him on the bandwagon. We don't want him anywhere near our team. That guy should not even be on the air. I cannot stand that guy.
Go pop lock with a McDonald's bag in your hand, buddy. Go do whatever you do best. Just stay away from the Chargers at all costs. We don't want you, bro. Trust me.
All right. Next question here from the chat is from Stephen P. By the way, thanks for the donations from Blazing Bolts and Stephen P. Would you guys draft a quarterback in the top half of next year's draft? Why? The answer is no. No. If you're talking about getting rid of Easton Stick, I am like with you on like the thought train, but we got to talk about like, there's also 6 other rounds. So no, not with that kind of draft capital. No, Chargers have holes on this roster and they need to fill them in the draft and free agency this offseason because they're kind of building the baseline for this roster and they're just going to start building it up. And a backup quarterback is not the way. And by the way, I am more than happy riding with Heineke for, another couple years, to be honest with you.
Forever. Just get Stick the hell out of here.
Yeah, until his arm falls
off. If that's all it does is get Stick out, I'm perfectly fine.
I have a feeling Steven is hinting at Herbert being injury prone and drafting an eventual replacement. That's my guess.
Okay.
I mean, he's been hurt a lot. There's no denying that. Is he fragile? Is he injury prone? I mean, some freak accidents, a broken rib, a broken finger, plantar fascia, like it's all random stuff. It's not like he's blowing his knee out or breaking his leg or breaking bone, like major bones.
He ain't Mr. Glass. Let's not do that.
Yeah. So no, I think it's a unanimous no, and I don't even know that they would even consider it, especially in the top half of the draft.
Yeah, hard pass on that, champ.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to our whoopsie. Let's move on to, and we'll get to some of your other questions as well. But our next bad tweet comes from another Dolphins fan posting Justin Herbert's tweet stats here of 130 yards against Carolina, 144 against Las Vegas. And he says, of course, a Dolphins fan, and we know the infamous Dolphins fan this is, in referring to Justin Herbert, he's literally Jimmy G now. I mean, I know context doesn't matter to these people, but also Jimmy G could never with this roster. Even Jimmy G couldn't win games.
I mean,
you'd find a way to lose.
Can we just talk about the mental gymnastics and the goalpost moving that we're going on here?
I know.
It's all been, he doesn't win. He never wins. He's just a check down merchant. He's never going to win games. Now he's 2-0. It's like, oh my God, look at this. He's not even putting up stats anymore. He sucks. Yeah. Well, what is it? Do you want him to put up stats? Because he's done that. Or do you want him to win?
Yeah.
Because the point is kind of winning, right? Who cares what his numbers look like? And you know what? He's going to have games where he puts up numbers because they're going to need him to at some point. But against the Raiders and the Panthers, they haven't needed it. So why risk the football? Why do that? This guy's
that goalpost has tractor trailer wheels on it, man. It never stops. So do you want empty stats or W's? I mean, one or the other. You're going to be critical of him no matter what. So he's going to have to do everything perfectly, and then you're still probably going to find like the one to do could go 38 for 40 for 400 and like 3 TDs, no picks. You're going to harp on the 2 incomplete passes. It's going to be something stupid. So beyond trying to explain things to you, how about you guys figure out your QB situation? Because currently, you know what? No, see, not getting canceled. And
canceled again.
Man, this is why I'm so bad for this show sometimes, because I want to say the things like the intrusive thoughts often win, and they have been in 2024.
I know.
No, I can't.
Say it. That's what we're here for. Say it.
No, you're not getting me eliminated.
Come on, say it.
Because I don't know. Here's the line. This is where I would go. I know better. As I'm aging, I know better. I understand myself. So now I'm gonna stop it right there. It's cool. It's cool.
Justin Herbert could win a Super Bowl, and they'd be like, well, I mean, Trent Dilfer could win a Super Bowl. He's practically Joe Flacco. You know, like they'd keep moving, and it wouldn't matter what he accomplishes. He'd still not be as good as Tua, according to some Dolphins fans who should absolutely retire, by the way.
They got to the Super Bowl and they ran the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even put the ball in his hands. Well, yeah, but they ran for 250 yards, dumbass.
And
These
won.
people are so stupid, and they won.
Yeah, this guy in particular is of the lowest. Stat pullers are the absolute worst, by the way. I just want to add that as well. When you pull stats and not add any context to anything, you're just the worst. And this Dolphin fan may be even worse than people who pull stats.
What do you have going on in your life that you have to dedicate your life to tearing down Justin Herbert?
One player.
Yeah.
Like, how pathetic are you?
You know, I'm starting to think people are jealous of him. He's a handsome guy. I guess maybe they're feeling like something about him agitates their insecurities. That's what I'm getting. I'm starting to feel that way a little bit, because what other reason do you have? Are you jealous? Feels a little bit like that.
It feels like some people are like the last people left in Nam when the war was over. Like they're still fighting over Tua versus Herbert. Like there's nobody cares anymore. Like it's pretty clear who the better player is at this point. One should probably retire. And then the other one is, a top 5 to 10 quarterback in the NFL. I mean, it's like, why are you fighting this fight anymore? Nobody cares. Like the media pinned you against each other early on and they drafted back to back, but who cares anymore?
One has had the luxury of playing with an Olympic 4x1 track team who he can toss the ball a half a yard to, and then we'll do the rest of the work. It's cool though. I mean, again, context doesn't matter. This is some real this is the worst of Gen Z type stuff going on right here. And respect to Gen Zers, I don't have any problem with you guys for the most part, but there's some folks out there that just, God, I was born in the right era. I'm so glad I was born when
all right. We got one more. Last one here. Special request. Ask Harbaugh to stop doing this to Herbert. And this is where he slaps the pad, the warm up at the beginning. Some players love bashing helmets and some just want routine, quiet time before a game to focus. And this is something, because I mean, we have actual video proof of Herbert being asked about this question. Herbert saying and joking, like, I'll be more ready next time. And he's got to put a little bit more into it next time. Herbert is a grown man. Like, if he doesn't want something done, he can tell the coach, what are you trying to do here? I mean, like, if the coach is doing something he doesn't like, he is a grown man who would say so. But also, I happen to pause in this 1 6-second clip of Herbert smiling as Harbaugh is doing this warm-up routine. And also, this person doesn't deserve Harbaugh. Like, this is Harbaugh. If you don't like this, then you need to go root for another team. This is Harbaugh. And especially also that this is 15 seconds of Herbert's hours long pregame warm-up. Like, this isn't the thing that's going to take him out of a game. He's got plenty of time to unwind or do the quiet routine time that he's insinuating here. There are hours of pregame warm-up. This 15 seconds isn't knocking him off his game. And if it is, keep doing it, because they're 2-0. If it's knocking him off his game, then he needs it and they're winning. So I don't care.
Doesn't this happen just before the game starts?
Yes.
Right before kickoff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Look, the flag's in the background. Sure. They just did the national anthem. The national anthem's over. It's in this clip. The game's about to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Just completely going to throw him off his game for sure. He should be sitting in a corner with like some Teddy Grahams and a Capri Sun or something. Like
orange slices and
definitely not an adult.
I'm actually surprised this tweet didn't include some crack about Herbert being fragile and breaking him. That's where I would have thought this was going. But I would not be surprised if at some point before the end of the season, Harbaugh does this to Herbert and Herbert returns the favor.
Yeah, I would love that. And Harbaugh would too. I'll tell you that much.
He would love that.
Oh, I think he wants it. I think a part of him wants him back. I could see that happening for sure.
Yep. It's like, all right, you want to beat the shit out of me? Here we go.
I mean, the way he loves Herbert, he'd probably Herbert could probably knee him in the balls. And
I have one request actually, and this is actually serious. Can we have him do this to Easton Stick in hopes of breaking Stick so he can't go on the field?
So Herbert would have
seems
to
like it's
defer.
energy much better spent, doesn't it? Time
Yeah.
better spent. Just beat the shit out of Easton Stick so you break him and he can't go on the field. Just make him the punching bag for the rest of the season.
All right, we're gonna answer a couple more questions here before we get out of here. One here from Blazing Bolts. Please, no more comparison of Tua and Herbert. I mean, we talked about it. No, I mean, nobody's fighting this fight. There's a point in which the Harbaugh, Rivers, Roethlisberger comparisons like all just kind of left, and they were all just playing, and then they'd bring it up every once in a while on a broadcast, but nobody was really fighting with anybody about that for very long. Like it was early on because of what Eli did to San Diego, but it just felt like I don't know, like nobody was really talking about it as much. And at some point you just have to like let it go. And I don't know if anybody from Florida is going to do that, but
we'll see. Why not just like you enjoy your guy, we'll enjoy our guy, or we can all enjoy both because they're both talented. We don't have to tear one down to make ourselves feel better about the other one. It's really not necessary.
From Junius to the TLRP crew, with QJ playing well, when Chark gets on the field, which wide receiver is going to be taking a step back? Joshua Palmer, Ladd McConkey.
I mean, I think. Oh, go ahead, Craig.
No, Jimmy, go for it.
I was just going to say, I think at the end of the day, when Chark comes back, he's going to have to work his way back into the rotation. So hopefully, all three of these guys are playing well and producing. And when Chark comes back, it's like, all right, well, we had a role for you, but now you got to earn your way back on the field because QJ is playing well. I actually think Ladd is playing quite well and getting open pretty consistently. They're just not getting him the ball. He's open all the time. And I'm talking like open by several yards. Like he's constantly open. And Palmer still has a role on this team. They threw him a screen on Sunday. They got him a couple quick touches to get the ball in his hands and give him a chance to make a play after the catch. I think his numbers are going to start ticking up here pretty soon. So ideally, these guys play so well, and Chark is in a more limited role.
I would say don't get hurt because that's what's going to determine part of it, because you're not just going to step back into a role unless you're someone who is just like a non-negotiable player, someone who's such a huge contributor right now, which is not what this wide receiver room is at this point. As the year goes on and someone just kind of raises their hand and step up, it becomes more of that number one option, then it's a different conversation. Right now, the best advice is don't get hurt because you will have to work your way back into the rotation. The one saving grace DJ Chark has is that he offers something that none of the top three guys do right now. That's true vertical speed. And because of that, it'll open up things in the intermediate portion of the field for the other wide receivers and give them opportunities as well as the tight ends, by the way. So there are parts of the game plan that you may not be able to unlock without Chark on the field, but still, I don't think he just walks back into the room and pushes guys down the depth chart from day one.
Yeah, I think it's a slow roll with DJ Chark, and then I think, we might see a heavier rotation of the three of them. But I agree. I think McConkey's been excellent this year. Or so far this year, he got the one touchdown, but it just feels like he's always open, and then he's always diving forward for the first down. I love his game right now. It just seems like he'd be perfect in this offense. Do we know anything about this from Charlotte Man? Did you guys already touch on Troy Fautino getting an MRI today? It's the Steelers' right tackle. I heard he tweaked it, and I guess he's going to need an MRI.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Is it Fautanu?
Fautanu. Yeah. Okay. What did I say? Fautinu?
Yeah, that's almost like a Cajun last name.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Did you guys see that Bosa said that Harbaugh gets in the cold tub fully clothed? Did you see that?
I did. I completely 100% believe him.
That's the thing too. None of us doubted it for a second. Like that would be a Harbaugh thing to do.
I feel like he sleeps in that polo and khakis, honestly.
Bosa said belt and all. Like he was fully belt, khakis, sweater, socks, like all of it was on. Which isn't that counterproductive when you're getting in the cold tub to wear that many layers? I mean, I don't know. That was my first thought too.
Usually you get in and you're not wearing more than like one layer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But if you're wearing like pants and a sweater. That's crazy.
I can imagine him in a hotel with a vest on. That is hilarious.
My guess is he's doing it to prove a point anyway. It's like, you guys, I can do this. Like kind of messing with the players or on a dare or something.
Do we? Oh, whoops. Do we take a challenge, Cristiano 17, and get in an ice bath with khakis and a shirt tucked in?
No.
Go for it. You got it.
Yeah, you guys got it.
I'll film it.
Which wide receiver do you think Joey Porter Jr. follows this week? Or will he just lock down one side of the field?
They don't have a number one.
According to Jeff Hartman, who was on the walkthrough with me, he said Porter's been following the other team's number one wide receiver. So Chargers don't really have a number one. I think you'll see him on Palmer at points, and I think you'll see him on QJ at points. I don't think he's going to wander into the slot, and their slot corner is not very good. So that's an opportunity for Ladd to make some plays in the slot.
Yep.
All right. Oh man, this is a great Arrested Development reference. If anybody's watched it, I can't believe he's a never nude, which is a great reference if you've seen Arrested Development. All right, guys. Well, I think we're good here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We will be here after the game on Sunday, after hopefully the Chargers get another win here, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Salute.